My name is Garrett Ferguson. This is my wife, Sally. We've got a beautiful 6.5-month-old girl named Eleanor.
It looks like me.
And we've been married 2.5 years and we're super happy. And I deal with same-sex attraction. I guess I should start at the beginning of my story. It started, I would say that my story is a nurture story, not a nature story. I can just see puzzle pieces and experiences that throughout my life that really put that together for me. And as that developed, I grew up feeling different than other guys, feeling less than, inferior, whatever you want to call it. It felt different. It felt not the same. And I think that is one of the roots of why I deal with same-sex attraction. There's that's come into play. I mean, that's still something I deal with. It's still something I talk about, and a feeling that I have. And that made me, I just felt different. I don't know how to describe it besides that. Unequal. And I always looked up to these other guys around me, all of them, all my friends. And I had incredible friends. Like, I never doubted that. I'm incredibly grateful for my friends.
Better friends than most people.
I feel like that, yeah. But I felt like they had something that I didn't. I felt like I was missing some masculine aspect, and I was searching for that. And I just felt different and alone. I felt like I wasn't one of them. So I put on this facade that I wanted everybody to see, which is exactly what I wanted them to see, that made them think I was the perfect church boy that they thought I was. All this time, amidst this feeling of difference, there was this strong element of same-sex attraction that I dealt with. And the way I seemed to fulfill that need was by finding other people that either it was apparent to me or guesswork, I don't know how else to describe it, that seemed to deal with that same element, that seemed to deal with same-sex attraction as well. You know, like, I think I inherently knew that what I was doing wasn't right, especially the older I got.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then as I matured, both physically and spiritually, or not spiritually, but physically and emotionally, I began to understand more so what was really happening, and to recognize that I was really pursuing that there was this strong element of same-sex attraction, that I had a strong pull towards other guys in my age and less so towards girls, and that seemed to be a way of deep connection and acceptance that I was yearning for, from these guys that I thought, were what I needed to be, that I wasn't. And I remember the point at my senior year of high school when I knew my mission papers and things were getting close, and that was something expected of me. It was to go on a mission. And I had expected of myself, to be honest. So I wanted to go on a mission, and I finally had the desire to do that, and my bishop understood, or began to understand, all of these lies that I'd been telling him for years, and this acting out that I'd done, and
it was all coming
to
a good place.
Yeah, and I felt like I was finally in a good place.
In a way, it was like kind of worth it.
But I wasn't even sure if I could go on a mission. In fact, I was pretty sure I couldn't. But I really wanted to, because now I knew the church was true, and that meant I needed to go. All I kept thinking was how good I felt, and how holy I felt, and I wanted to share that feeling, like I really did. Mm-hmm. So I met, my bishop lots, like I've already said, and then, at this point I started meeting with my stake president a few times, and eventually had to get special permission from Salt Lake. Well, it was evident to them that my repentance was sincere, and that I really did want to share the gospel, and they were worried, and I understand that they were worried that I could be a danger to other missionaries, or that they would be a temptation to me or anything like that. And so I was able to serve my mission worthily and return home worthily, and I mean, there were points where I felt tempted at different things or things like that, but I didn't really have any issues with it, which I was really grateful for. So I came back from my mission and met Sallie like 2 days after that, and
Literally.
yeah, something like that. And we didn't fall in love immediately or anything like that, but
So he came to church one Sunday and we saw him. I don't know if I was super pulled at the time. I didn't think, oh, we should date. But we became really good friends. And I think there was a time right when we met and that we both thought maybe we would want to date, but it wasn't good timing. And I'm glad now because there were things that both of us needed to work on. I think Garrett was at a good place off his mission, and you can speak for yourself, but I think we both developed over the 3 years that we were friends to a place that was really healthy to where we could date and eventually get married.
I mean, I'd called her for dating advice with another girl.
Right. We were good friends. We did AFY together. We knew the goods and the bads.
About a year after mission, the pornography resurfaced and things that I'd been free of for 4 years or something at that point. Anyway, I was frustrated because at that point I actually thought that my SSA was either under control or it was just incredibly diminished, and I really didn't think it was much of an issue. But it was back, and I was like, it's back. I didn't know what to go with it from there. And you
didn't have any resources.
Yeah, I didn't have resources. I didn't anticipate it coming back as strong as it was, that it would be back in my life. And then I was trying to date these other girls and nothing was working. It wasn't going anywhere. There was really just this wall I would seem to hit that didn't have, I don't know. I hit this wall and I couldn't get past it. I would be attracted to these girls. I would like these girls. We'd start dating and then a few weeks later it'd be over. And it was all on my side and I couldn't figure out why. Well, I knew. I knew that I was like,
any dating advice.
Yeah, and I called Sallie for dating advice. And there was even a girl that I really thought was really cool. And I still think she's incredible, and she's a good friend. And I tried to force it with her in dating. And we tried to date and it just never felt natural. It didn't feel like I had expected it would feel or thought it would feel. I came to the realization that if the gospel is going to be number one, I might not ever get married. And I might not be in a relationship of any kind, with a man or a woman. But because I knew the gospel was true, it took precedence for that for me. That's what I really wanted, was to be close to Heavenly Father and to really feel His love in my life. And even though I was trying to date these other girls, it wasn't working. It wasn't going anywhere. And I just accepted that I might not ever get married. But I knew that I was living in harmony with God's will. And that's what I wanted more than anything else. And these other relationships weren't working out.
Right.
And because I had a testimony of the gospel, it meant I couldn't live a gay lifestyle. So that wasn't even an option really in my book. And I just decided, okay, if I never get married, that's all right. And that took a lot of pressure off.
Right.
And
so it was like, if it happened, it happens. If it doesn't, I'm going to keep living the gospel.
Right. Not long after that, I went back and I kind of had a little crush on Sallie. And a little. Yeah, little. And I had our friends kind of help me set up a time for her to come over with them and have dinner with my family.
But I don't think we either had any intentions of dating at that point.
Right. Well, I did.
Just friends. Okay, so you did.
And I asked her out later that night after she came over, and she knew I was going to ask her out.
I never thought that I would date Garrett because we had worked closely together before
at EFY.
And he was very similar to me, very loud, very fun, very outgoing, and sometimes I just needed space from Garrett because that's probably how people feel about me too. They need some space and we need to calm down a little bit. So when we met up, before we actually went on a date, my sister was like, you should date him. And I was like, I could never date Garrett. He is just too much like me, too fun, too outgoing. Which I don't know why that was. I can only take Garrett in small doses.
Yeah, that's what she said.
So I did get a big dose later. But anyway, so going into that, I knew Garrett was different. And the whole time we were friends, I thought, there's something different about Garrett. I didn't know what it was, but I liked it. I liked that he was so compassionate and so kind, and he was so intent. He was very intentional, and I liked that about him. So he asked me on a date, and I thought, okay, fine, we can go on one date. So we went on this date, and he told me he was so nervous about it, and I was like, why? It's just us. We've been friends for so long, you know? And I went home and I told my mom that I went on this date with Garrett, not to get too excited. And she was like already planning the wedding at that point. But sometime within the next 6 weeks, he sat me down and told me that he had dealt with some things in the past, but that he was worthy right now. And I thought, he didn't go into much detail. He was super vague about things, and it took forever for him to get to the point. But I knew that what he wanted to tell me was that he was worthy. And if he was worthy, then that was okay, because I believe in the atonement. And so obviously if it needed something like that he had gone through the atonement and he could go to the temple, and that's what mattered to me. So we moved forward. And then we fell in love, and we were dating long distance. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were dating long distance. So we decided that we wouldn't say I love you unless we were with each other. So
she didn't want me to say it.
Yeah, so about 2.5 months after we started dating, we met back up, and I knew that he was going to tell me he loved me. So he took me to the temple and he sat me down and he said, I love you. And I said, I love you too. And he's like, and I want to marry you. And I was like,
big eyes.
Oh, I didn't know that was going there right now. I knew that probably down the road we were going to get married, but I think we both knew that going into it. We had been such good friends that was kind of inevitable. If things went well, we'd probably get married. So he says, I love you, I want to marry you, and oh, by the way, I have same-sex attraction. And
well, it wasn't
quite like that. He went
into
it.
Okay, you know,
I don't even think he called it same-sex attraction.
She said, I want to marry you too. And I said, okay, that's good. I'm glad we've established that.
And then he said, I need to talk to you about some things.
Yeah, there's some things I need to talk to you about. And explained everything, because I knew that it wouldn't be fair to Sallie to go and bring all of this into a marriage, something that I was dealing with presently, without telling her that.
And he was very clear that he wanted to be very honest from, our marriage and dating. Everything needed to be very honest and open.
All the time. Because I had lost myself when I had lied for so many years and knew who I was. And I had made a resolution that I would be 100% honest in everything I did from that point on.
And I was worried about going into marriage. I was worried about a lot of things, particularly in regards to Garrett's SSA. I was really worried he would wake up and not want to be married to me, that he would not love me, that it wouldn't work, that he would be unhappy, that we couldn't have sex, that there's so many things that I worried about. And I mean, even 2 days before the wedding, I was in tears. What if next week you wake up and you don't want me? And he said the same thing back. He was like, what if you wake up and you don't want me? And I realized that a lot of the things that I was worried about would be something I worried about regardless of Garrett's same-sex attraction. I could leave Garrett just as much as he could leave me for different reasons, So a lot of those things I think were just marriage worries. But at the time, I thought they were all related to SSA. But once we got married, they weren't.
It took me a long time, but I finally figured out a way that I could accept it and still live in harmony with the principles of the gospel, which were so important to me. I didn't have to be afraid of it anymore. And I was for so long, and I didn't think it would. Mm-hmm. I never thought that I could still have these feelings and still have SSA and be a worthy church member. That felt impossible to me. And it's not, because I feel that way now. I know I'm a worthy church member, And I have a strong testimony of the gospel, and it makes me so happy and brings me so much joy every day.
I have found so much hope in seeing other people's experiences and hearing their stories that I knew that this was something that we needed to do because it could bring just more hope to other people. This is exactly what we needed. Mm-hmm. So if this can bring hope to one other person, then this will be worth it. And from everything that I have learned, that Garrett has taught me, that I've seen in other people, that all of these experiences, they've come together to really teach me that there is more than one way to live the gospel, and this is how our family's living the gospel. And it brings us so much happiness and so much hope that the gospel plan is true and it works in so many different ways, no matter what your struggle is or what you're dealing with or what you carry or the burdens you carry, that you can be happy in the gospel through the Savior and through the atonement, and this is how we do it.